Hello, and welcome to Talk This Way. I'm your host, Marcia Martin, and in today's episode, we embark on a transformative journey into the art and power of public speaking. Have you ever felt that unmistakable pull to express yourself, to share your ideas, and to truly connect with an audience? Whether you're addressing a boardroom, speaking at a community event, or simply having a heartfelt conversation, your ability to communicate effectively can make all the difference. Today, we dive deep into the essence of public speaking, exploring not just the how, but the why behind powerful communication. I'll be sharing insights from my own journey, a path that has taken me from training with clairvoyant healers and shamans to training over 300,000 people in public speaking and leadership. We'll uncover the secrets of transforming fear into power, the art of being present, and how to make each speech feel as fresh and impactful as if it's the first time you're delivering it. You'll learn about the delicate balance between rehearsal and spontaneity, and how to tap into your authentic voice to create a genuine connection with your audience. Whether you're a seasoned speaker or just starting out, this episode is for you. We'll delve into how these skills transcend the stage, influencing every aspect of your life, from personal relationships to professional interactions. So join me as we explore how to harness your personal power, embrace your authenticity, and truly talk this way. Let's begin this exciting journey together. Here we go.
So my name is Nicholas Haynes, in case people don't know me. I'm the creator of the Vitality Test and co-founder of the 5 Institute. And I'm very, very privileged to be a friend and know, and also to be interviewing the most wonderful Marcia Martin.
Thank you. And we're recording this too, so that's wonderful.
And we're recording this, absolutely. So Marcia is an amazing, amazing person. I had heard about her and the things that she'd done, but I never, ever dreamed I would meet her. It's one of these things again. It's one of these people that, oh, God, will I one day meet them? And then I met them. And you are just so beautiful. You're natural, you're charming, you're friendly. You will help anyone and support. You are just a phenomenal human being. And then when you start to look at your backstory, and it's kind of personally training 350,000 people to be speakers and trainers, you look at who says, oh, Marcia Martin taught me how to speak, kind of Robert Kawasaki in Twist. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, it's just, you are, as so many people say, you are a legend, a living legend, and an absolutely wonderful human being. And I've also had the privilege not only meeting you and getting to know you, but I've also been on one of your events that you just don't run that often, do you? They're very few and far between. And I squeezed into one, and it was a complete game changer for me. It was the power of speaking, life mastering the power of speaking. And it was a amazing, amazing event. And I know you've got another one coming up in London. So we've got Toronto and London.
Yes, London is September, actually.
September. So we're 16th, 18th of September. And with this video, I'll put a link to the event.
Oh, wonderful.
We'll do that at the end of the video. Because it is just an amazing event. And when I went on that event, it changed my whole thinking. And I thought, if I have a chance to just interview you, ask a few more questions, and we spread this wisdom out there. Are you okay with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you want to say any about your background? Anything? It's such a brilliant one. Anything else you want to say about it?
Thank you, Nicholas. Well, I have a unique background. I feel I'm the most trained person in the whole world. I've been in a seminar since I was 17, listening to some great mentor speak and teach. And every weekend of my life, it seems, at least for 10 years, when I was vice president of EST, I was one of the original founders of EST, which became Landmark. And I was in charge of all marketing and communication and registration, which meant that I trained the trainers and the seminar leaders and the guest seminar leaders to speak and to enroll and to communicate and to be confident and to facilitate groups. And I was just a young girl, but I was very bossy. So,
and how many numbers are we talking about with S, for example? We're talking like phenomenal numbers that you were training and coordinating and getting into rooms, weren't we?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, it started with a few people sitting on a bed, and I sat on a dresser and told them about the training, and they enrolled. And we went from there to then bigger hotel rooms, and then auditoriums, and then the Cow Palace, and the sports arena, and the auditoriums that hold 15 to 20,000 people. So by the time of my tenure during that time, from the inception of EST until I left, where I was vice president and director of communications, there were millions of people worldwide that had taken the training.
Yeah.
So I normally speak in front of groups of anywhere from 50 to 2,000 on a regular basis. But during those years, we had 5,000 and 10,000 and 25,000. And so I got my training very early. And then I went into consulting and coaching, a lot of personal development and transformational kinds of companies wanted me to come in and train their trainers. So I worked with John Hanley in LifeSpring, training his trainers and teaching his people how to enroll and how to produce events. And I worked with many of the organizations. Tony Robbins, I ran his business for a couple of years in the 80s and helped take him national. And I worked and had many mentors, Buckminster Fuller, Swami Muktananda, people that, it was just an amazing life because who knew? And I was like, okay. And that is my forte, is training speakers.
Yeah.
It's a combination of leadership, and it's a combination of being present, and it's a combination of building teams and communication. But it really is finding your voice. And I can say with the greatest amount of humility, I'm brilliant at doing that. I have been trained by clairvoyant healers and shamans from the time I was young. I've been in trainings my whole life, and I have the capacity to see energy. So when I work with someone on a stage, I can see where their blocks are. And I can see where their stops, where their obstacles, their fears, some of their assumptions, the things that get in their way.
Yeah.
And I can cause them to connect in such a way that they can actually transform the room, and I love doing that.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that my whole life. So it's quite remarkable.
Yeah. And having witnessed you do that, then it is really quite remarkable. And we often joke about you. You are the best kept secret of the world's greatest transfer. That you are their secret. You are their secret. That you helped produce the secret and everything. But I want to.
That's true.
You did everything. So you are. We're having a secret session with Marcia, who is the best kept secret of the world's greatest transformational leaders. And I'm going to. Can I start with a question that I that I get asked all the time? And someone said to me, "You're speaking to Marcia. Ask her this question." So this is one from. So this is really to do with the nature of who can be a great or a good or a great public speaker. Do you think anyone can learn, or is it an inherent? What's your view on that? Because it's a really big one for people.
I think anyone can learn. And I have taken people that, and what the magical thing about my seminars, and especially the one I'm going to be doing in London, is people are going to be at different levels. So you could be a beginner and never have spoken. You could be an excellent, very renowned, very famous, very skilled speaker. What happens is I have the ability to work with you wherever you are to take you to the next level.
Okay.
It's kind of like, climbing a mountain. You don't go to the top right away, especially if you've never skied. I'm from Aspen, so I have metaphors there. Start with the bunny hill, and then you go up to the next mountain, and then you go up. But if you are a great skier, you go to the top, you still have some room to learn. And there are different things that you learn at that level. And in speaking, it's everybody has this capacity. And I have now proven it because I have evidence of over 350,000 people that I've trained. I've trained senior executives. I've trained mothers. I've trained artists. I've trained lawyers. I've trained people that have to speak all the time. I've trained people that are afraid to speak at all, but they just want to be able to give their brother a toast at his wedding. And it happens every single time. People come in and they're run by their fear, or they think they know it all. Take either side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And what happens is when I get someone in touch with their authenticity and their personal power, that place to come from, then it becomes a spontaneous and very natural journey for them to continue to expand and strengthen themselves. They don't need me after that.
Right.
But that first step of getting somebody authentic and how to connect and how to be present. And you would be surprised, all the great speakers that don't do that. You know, they have lots of information. They have lots of stuff that they're going to teach you, and they think they know the answer. And the truth of it is they're not very inspirational. They may be entertaining, and they may be, you know, a flash on the stage that everybody's, you know, kind of in awe of. But if you go away later and say, well, what moved you about that person? What did you love about that person? What inspired you? People don't have answers to that. They have more answers to, well, I was impressed because they knew so much, or they seemed to be so confident. I could never do that. There was no connection. So I really believe anybody can be a great speaker.
Yeah.
And I also believe, and I think this is even more important, is everybody needs this skill set.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if you want to be a great speaker because you have a certain function to speak. What matters is, are you a human being? And do you want to be successful in life with your children, with your mate, with your colleagues, with your friends? Do you want to know how to build teams? Do you want to know how to expand people? That all comes from where we say the voice comes from, which is your personal power and your really authenticity of yourself. And that's the thing I work on. Speaking is a byproduct.
Okay, that's an interesting way to look at it, isn't it? Speaking is a byproduct. So in terms of anyone can come to one, like I say, you don't do them very often, but if they had the chance, anyone could come to it. And it's not about being the big public speaker, or not about, it could just about that authentic voice and that communication. Fascinating. That explains it. It's interesting to hear this backstory, having watched you work with such different people at different levels, that you're doing something that's quite unique for them. So kind of along those lines, because it's another question that's quite interesting. It's this, and this is my question.
Okay.
And it's this aspect of the level of rehearsal relative to being natural. Because sometimes we think, oh, if I really rehearse it, I've suddenly gone into something different. So I'll be really natural. But then really natural has the possibility of all going horribly wrong. So what's that balance, or is there something different that I'm missing? What is it?
Well, rehearsal and practice are all good skill sets, and they're smart to do. The problem with rehearsal and practice and getting so prepared for many people is that they get out of present time. So consider that everything happens in a new moment. So I call that, newly, in a new unit of time.
Yeah.
Every second that you are here, you breathe, you're in a new moment. You're not in the past, you're not in the future, you're in the now, right now, here. So when you tell a story, or you make a talk, or you make a presentation, and you've practiced it, you also have to have the skill set to practice it to the point where you can deliver it newly.
Okay.
Because what happens is when people practice or prepare too much, they deliver it again.
So it's not new. It's just a rehearsal of the past.
Yes. And what happens is people get stuck in their head. They're not present because they're remembering, they're going back to, they remember the joke that they told at that time and they want to say it again. Now, it's interesting. Comedians, and very great comedians, are a good model for this, what you're asking, Nick, because comedians tell the same joke over and over and over.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But when they're the really good ones, tell it as if it's the first time they ever told it.
Yeah. You're
Okay,
right.
so it's still new in a new unit of time. You have to go through a lot of practice to get to the place where you can create something new. See, doing something again is different than creating something newly.
Yeah.
So when I'm on a stage and when I have other people on the stage, I teach them how to be in this moment. First, what we teach them is how to come from their own experience, how to share their own authenticity. And there's a spontaneity in that. You know, it's like the first time you tell a story, there's spontaneity to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're going to be a professional speaker, you're going to have to make the same presentation over and over. So a more advanced skill set is how do you take something that you've done before and make it as if it is the first time you've ever spoken those words. And in order to do that, a person has to be able to be in present time. And most people are not here.
Yeah.
They're any place but here.
Yeah.
and it gets a little more complicated when you're on stage because people, whether you're a really renowned speaker and you've done it lots of times, still have fear. That stage fright comes up, that quickening of your breath, and you're like, oh, and so you automatically will go to your head. You'll go to, oh, I hope I be good, and start to think, and is this all right, and everything, and it takes you out of present time. So to teach someone how to presence themselves, get in present time, then connect to the place where their authentic voice comes from, and not just connect to themselves, then to be able to connect to the audience. That's a whole another piece because see, giving a presentation is not you giving it and somebody else just listening. All connection is an exchange, it's a conversation. Now, maybe the audience doesn't say anything verbally, but they're saying something in their mind. So there has to be that presence to know when a person is confused, when a person didn't agree with you, when a person is wondering, even though they're not asking the question, you can see that they have a question because it's the conversation and how do you dance with the audience. So it's those three major things. It's you being authentic.
Yeah. So if you're not in the room, then you can't have a conversation. If you're in your head and I hope I'm whatever, you can't be in the room listening.
Right.
Yeah, cool.
And it's not even listening so much as because it's being in the conversation. You ever notice that when you're doing something after you get done, you say to yourself, gee, how did I do that? How was I? Cool. Was I good? Was I bad? You're looking back at something. When you're in action, you don't see yourself in action.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what makes coaching so powerful is coaching, and I'm a coach also, and I do lots of coaching in this training that we're going to do in London. When you're a coach, you can see someone in action. They can't see themselves in action. When you're in action, you're in the moment. You're not thinking about, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Am I in a conversation? Am I not in a conversation? Am I connected? Am I authentic? You're actually in the action itself. So what I do is I get them to a place where they can trust the part of them that's powerful, their inner source of power. Right. And they can be present in the moment, not in their head, not in the future, not in the past, not in their fear, not in their stops. And they can connect with the person to have that conversation. And then it flows. You see, then we call that coming from your experience. Then all of your unique skill sets and your knowledge will come out naturally. You can still prepare. Yeah. But you're not prepared to the point where you're automatic and a robot. You're prepared to the point where you're responsible about the fact that you know what you want to cover.
And it must be as a result of that, because one of the things people do is they have real fear about speaking. And if we're talking about doing it in the way that you're doing, there isn't a place to be scared because you're just being you and you're not in your head. You're just in the moment enjoying it. So that must be I've had times when I think I've loved that, and that is
Yes.
glimpses. And you teach people to consciously be able to do that.
Yes. And it's a ride. It's a joyful ride. It's a flow. It's a roller coaster. It's a dance. It's a surfing. It's all of the things that you do when you're in that moment where you're just going with it. That's the experience of it. And the other thing, Nick, is most people when they're speaking, especially to a larger audience, say there's 10 people in the room or 50 people or 100 people, they think they're speaking to a group, but they're not, because a group doesn't even exist.
Okay.
See, there's two kinds of language. There's language that names the thing itself, and then there's representational language. Language that names the thing itself. So here's a glass, and there's the word glass.
Yep.
Okay, so the thing is here, and the word is the same as the thing.
Yep.
Then there's not the thing here. You need a word that represents what you're talking about. So if you have 10 people in a room, I can say person, 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 person.
Got it.
That language names what a human being is. Or I can say human being, or I can say Jack, or I can say there's a word for the thing, this human being itself.
Yeah.
Well, what a group is, the word group means it represents more than one person at the same time in the same room.
But not the individuals.
Yeah, and group doesn't really exist. It's just a word that represents something that does exist together.
Okay.
So, do you see, it's like a group. It's not like you say, what color is the group's hair? Well, how many legs does a group have?
Yeah.
Well, is the group speaking now? There's no group.
No.
It's a person, a person, a person, a person. And then we say, okay, that is represented when we get a bunch of people in the same place at the same time by this word called group.
Yeah.
But group itself isn't, you can't kiss the group. You can't,
I could try.
Yeah. Yeah. And people try to speak to the group.
Gotcha.
Very interesting. They try to look really fast so they see everybody at the same time, or they look over it as if like looking over it a little bit is going to hold it there, and then they're going to be talking to the group. All you can ever speak to and communicate with is one person at a time. So it's one conversation after another consecutively.
Right.
And if you're a great speaker, you connect with a person for a period of time in a conversation, then you go to another person and connect with them.
Yeah.
For a period of time, then you go to another person. Well, when you're connected, you're not afraid. You're just in a conversation.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if there's 5,000 or 2. It doesn't matter because it's not scary. It's just one person at any moment that you're connected with.
Yeah.
So there's so much to teach, and I love teaching it all, and I enjoy your questions. But I just want people to know that this workshop is going to be very special because I'm going to have a chance to work with people individually and as a group.
Yeah.
There'll be 20 or 30 people there, so it's small enough that I can give individual attention, but it's large enough that where we can have connectivity, interaction, fun conversations. And that's the other thing in my workshops. Everybody comes out loving each other.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's amazing. So you get, another 20, 30 friends that are close friends that have your back.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
And I just want to add one thing about that thing when you said, speaking as a bonus or it's a byproduct. I use the medium, getting someone up in front of a stage or speaking or in a group of 2 or 3 people doing an exercise, because when people speak, whether it's to 2 people or 3 people or 4 people, this thing happens to each of them. Their heart starts beating a little faster. It's my turn. Oh, it's coming. Oh, no. Am I going to be good? I have to think, all of these obstacles suddenly come up. Yeah. And what I can do is work with the obstacles that are in their lives in a way that they can release them and just be their natural self.
Yeah.
Now, they can be their natural self in their relationship or at work or as a speaker. It's going to benefit them every single way. So speaking, they're going to get everything that they need to have about speaking. But really, speaking is the medium I use to teach them a bigger thing, which is your personal power,
Yep.
your ability to be authentic,
Yep.
your ability to be present,
Mm-hmm.
your ability to see, not just with your eyes, your ability to hone in and use your intuition, your ability to listen beyond what is being said, but to what's not being said, your ability to be present for people, to receive people, all of those skill sets speakers need. But non-speakers need those too. You need that when you're raising a teenager, and you need that when you're in a relationship and you've been married for 20 years, or you need that when you're going through hard times and you're afraid of something, or you're stressed out, or you don't know what to do next, or you're in fear. Those are the same skill sets.
Mm.
So this is a bigger thing than just being a speaker.
Yeah. So you don't have to be a speaker, you just be an ordinary person. And I think one of the things, it's really interesting hearing you saying that, because my observation of watching you at work, it was incredibly safe. For people,
yeah.
they were challenged, but it was a safe place. No one was made to feel, oh, you're this good. There was no hierarchy. So,
and there's no confrontation. There's nothing where somebody is attacking you, or you're being humiliated or anything like that. It's fun. It's really fun.
Yeah.
And it's very, the nuances are very dynamic. People come out and they can see and listen differently.
Yeah.
I had a person at my last seminar that I did in Toronto, and he, at the end of the room, or at the end of the seminar, he stood up in front of the room and he said, when I came here, my colleague at work told me that after these 3 days, I would be a different person.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, inside, I laughed at her. And I thought, well, that's naive and that's stupid. Nobody can change and transform. And, that can't happen in 3 days. And he said, as I stand here now, I am a different person. My whole life has changed, and I can see how it will apply to my skill sets and my job, to my family, to my children. He said, and I never dreamed it was even possible. And what was really funny, he said, thank goodness my colleague is on vacation this week, because I've got to go back and figure out a way how to tell her I was wrong.
Oh, that's lovely. That's a brilliant story. Yeah. We some of us really don't like to be wrong. I can barely say the word. But what I will say, Marcia, is thank you. I know we could talk for hours, but I have kind of thousands of questions. But I really respect you spending this time talking through this content. And so I think the things
what I'd like to also say in ending from my perspective is that people will get information not conceptually only, but conceptually that they can apply. That practically works in a situation. What do you do when you're afraid to say something, or when you have something to say? How do you approach someone that's angry? And how do you really calm them down? How do you assist somebody in growing when it's uncomfortable for them? How do you actually inspire someone to enroll into something that you want them to enroll into without having to push them and sell them and manipulate them? Those are applications. There is knowledge for that, and they will learn all of those things in addition to having skill sets that they just will go out and they'll say, wow, I handled this totally different than I've ever handled this before. I can't believe I did that. So I hope that people come. It's in London, September 16th through the 18th. It's at the Holiday Inn Kensington Forum. We're starting on Friday right at 9 a.m. I know Nick's going to put up a link where you can register. Or if you have questions or anything, you can email me at marcia@marciamartin.com. Maybe you can put that up as well.
Yeah, and I know you're wonderful and so kind with people emailing you. Say, do you think you're so helpful? So marcia@marciamartin.com, and I'll put that at the end of this video. So awesome. It's I know your events, they don't happen very often, but when they do. So it's one of these things. Grab this opportunity while it's here, and safe place for anybody at any particular level to just grow, speak, communicate, share, meet new friends, and meet the wonderful, dreamy Marcia Martin. So
thank you, Nick.
So thank you so much for letting me ask these questions and go through this. It's been an absolute privilege as ever. It was really just nice for me to spend some more time with you. But I love that. And I hope everyone that's watching this, you have enjoyed hearing a snippet of the wonderful wisdom that Marcia has, and come along to her events, any event you can possibly get to.
Yes, I'll see you in London, all of you. I look forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Marcia. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Talk This Way. If you enjoyed the episode, follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And for access to training, courses, and other ways to learn from Marcia, visit marciamartin.com. That's MARCIA.